So, all right, so we are officially opening the meeting. This is Thursday night, February the 4th, and this is the meeting of the Hubbasten Cultural Council. As I've been required, I am going to read a statement by our governor pertaining to the open meeting law, and it reads as follows: virtual meeting information. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law C, period 30A, number 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order, imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Hubbasten Cultural Council will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town website. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via Zoom. In the event that we're unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website a comprehensive record of proceedings after the meeting. End of quote. Okay. Now, at this point, can you see Donna or I?
No.
Okay.
Just static picture.
I wonder if there's a way of doing that.
Do you
Next to
see
the
the start video button? It
Yeah.
looks like a little movie camera.
Okay. Let me see if I can, next to the video button, there's a little movie camera. Hang in there. If I get,
Is that the movie camera?
okay, there is a little movie camera there. Let me see if I hit that. Did that make a difference?
Nope, not yet. It might. I'm
Okay.
just trying to.
Yeah, I hit the movie thingy. The host
Does it?
that you start a video, start my video.
Yes,
Okay. So am I there now?
not yet.
Okay. Start my video. Let me see if that.
There you
Oh,
are.
yes. Yay.
Hi.
I was thinking I could have been in my pajamas after all.
All right. Well, remotely as it is, I'm glad to see you ladies and appreciate you gathering together this evening. At least we didn't have to go out on a cold night, and we can be comfortable in our living quarters. So we have a lot to cover in certain respects. So let's forge ahead and do that according to the agenda that we put together. So the first item on the agenda is to review and approve the meetings for a meeting that was almost a year ago, March the 4th,
Crazy.
2020. Hard to believe, but it is what it is. So I know that at some point, each of you has received a copy of that minutes of that meeting. So I will look for a motion, unless there's any questions, to accept the minutes of the meeting from March 4th, 2020. Okay. Will
So
somebody
moved.
motion?
Approved.
Okay. All
Mhm.
those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No. Okay. So the minutes are approved unanimously by our council members. And I thought I'd take a minute to acknowledge the fact that Peter Walker was kind enough to give us some of his time during his period of working with the council, and that he made a decision not to renew his position. So we still have a full group, but no alternates. So for the time being, we can forge ahead because we have a full quorum and continue with the items on the agenda. So the next item of the agenda, thanks to our very capable treasurer, who spent a lot of times organizing things and making our life easier. We have a worksheet, which is the Hubbasten Cultural Council 2021 meeting worksheet. And it is our obligation and responsibility to review that. And so I will turn the floor over to Laurie and ask her to guide us through this so that we have all of our numbers in sync. And we know what we have to, I won't say play with, but allocate and deal with. So Laurie, once again, thanks very much for your organizational skills. And if you'll handle this part of it, we'd appreciate it.
Sure. To start off with the first section, section A, the starting number of $5,332.72. That number is generated off of the annual report, section 1. And section 1 of the annual report is solely generated based on numbers that our town accountant, Kelly Pontebrand, reports to the state. So I went through the numbers. I agreed with all of her numbers. There were no discrepancies this year as to how many dollars we started with, how many dollars we spent, and what our ending balance was. So I was thrilled with this.
Wow.
So the annual report I sent a while ago because that had a deadline earlier this year or earlier last year. So that's the starting number that we start with on the voting worksheet. Does anybody have any questions about the starting number?
No, all set here. And please, because it took a while for you to get that in sync. And now with the new town accountant, that seems to be working out well.
Well, it's the same town accountant. She's just not working for Templeton anymore.
Oh, good. Okay.
She's just really working for us, and she's not going to be in-house. We deal with her totally remotely, just electronically now. So any of the paperwork that I would mail to her or drop off, I'll now just email to her. So it'll be interesting because I haven't had to do it yet, but it'll be interesting to see how it works.
Okay.
Let's see. So the next number, I've got to take my glasses off to read the numbers. I apologize. Total expenditures that we spent last year, we spent $2,389, and I supplemented the worksheet with where I generated each of these numbers. So you can find this number, $2,398, as item on the third page of the worksheet that I sent out. And it explains all the grants that we spent the money on. So does anybody have a question? Do you want me to just, is this boring, you guys? I mean.
No, I think that it's procedurally, it's important to go over these and make sure we're in sync. So I'd say go right ahead. And if we have any questions, we'll stop you.
Okay. And these numbers were verified by two pieces of paper documents that I continue to keep. One is a ledger going forward, and the other is a grant tracking worksheet. And everything agreed with these numbers that I've pulled together on this worksheet, the page 3, and then documented on this report. Items C, box C is pending expenditures. These are all the grants that we have not yet paid for, haven't happened. They haven't happened. None of these in box C have taken place. It's probably a different discussion, Bill, and everybody, as to what is going to happen with any of these. But for now, we have to still encumber the dollars, say that they're spoken for, until we know what's really going to happen, how we're going to deal with it. I don't have an answer for that right now. I don't know, Bill, if you've got a heads up as to where we're going, but
Based
they're all
on,
still out as far
yeah,
as I know.
yeah, based on the, some of the feedback that we got, I believe that some of this is a discussion for another time, but some of these activities will take place. And we've got to establish, and I'll take that responsibility, contact with these vendors to give us an updated idea of what their plans are and the dates are and the who, what, when, where, how, and why. But that gives us a better understanding by you providing us with that number of the money that hasn't been spent. So, and I intend, once we get through the process, which we're mandated to do by a particular date, that being, I think, the 16th of February, to get that report in and to send out the denial letters. Once we get that procedural part of it done, then we can go back and kind of ask people, okay, because we asked them if they intended to schedule it this year. And we got responses from some that said yes. And then we got some that actually said no.
Right. I'm
Because,
aware of one that said no, which I've accounted for in these numbers. I've taken that off and added them back into our dollars at for future use.
and that would have been the Historical Society. And that
Yes.
was, yep. Because she didn't
Yep.
feel that the person was going to do what they said they were going to do in the grant.
Fiber arts.
That's correct. So we're fine there.
So that's where that's the outstanding grants that we have a hold of money for so far. Then we have additional local revenue. We don't put anything in here. We haven't raised any money ourselves to put towards grants. That's not something we've done in the past.
Okay.
So anyways, so that just brings us to the balance of the total outstanding expenditures and then we go down to box E and we find that based, I guess, when you add all the numbers up, box A, B, C, and D, we end up having $548.72 as a remaining balance from this year that's unaccounted. And it's explained by the 275 on page 3 I'm looking at now. There's box E being explained, and $275 were for the grant that told us they aren't going to do it again. The fiber arts was just said keep the money basically, and we have an email documenting that. Unused admin fees, we have $194.40 left. Sarah, I'm not sure if you still have an outstanding, did we do a Facebook boost that I haven't accounted for?
We did, I did one and it was $10. I mean, you know, I'm
Next year then, so that we can keep going forward and account for it.
Yeah, I mean, they're so limited, you know, they're so inexpensive, and I just kind of look at it as, you know, my donation to the town,
Okay.
minimal as it is. But
No.
I mean, if it was more money, but it's like $10.
Okay. And then the third thing that does go into making up this $548.72 is our accrued interest on the account from last year. And that is $79.32. And we had made a decision last year that you can add in the interest now that you've accrued in 2021 since the last report. We decided we'll just always take the prior year's interest and add it into the new year so that we're not constantly balancing an interest number. And at this point, from fiscal year 2020 to date, that's like 6 months, we only have $1.83. They're they're allocating the interest differently now. It's not based on whatever the prior year's rules were. So we're only going to have pennies out of this in the future. This account won't be accruing the kind of dollars it has in the past. And it's not because we have a lower balance to be applying that interest rate to. The balance is high, so I don't understand what happened. It happened when we changed our accounting procedures. And I did ask at one point, but I didn't get a response. So anyways, that's where the 548 excess dollars comes from that we have to throw into the next year. Then on page 2, we carry forward that number. On F, no revenues and interest, here is the place where we have that $1.83 that we've accrued from, let's see, July 1st through December 30th. And last year we decided we would let a full year accrue and apply it in the next year. And that's what we did last year. And I want to follow that procedure this year too, if everybody agrees that it's okay.
Fine.
No.
Now getting down to G. Okay,
Then I guess the next number we need to talk about is allocating administrative fees for this year. I think my opinion is I think it's wise for us to do so because we don't know what we're going to come up against as far as expenses. If we really find that it's going to be more difficult to promote things, maybe we'll have to do some more Facebook boosts or whatever to get the word out about some things. So I guess I'm saying we should allocate something again for the administrative expenses. So we can allocate up to 5% of the $5,700. So anybody have a suggestion as to what we should do or the amount we should do or whether we should do it at all?
I think the Facebook posts are still really useful. It's one of the few, particularly in this day and age of social distancing. I think it's one of the easiest and most likely ways to get the word out. So maybe if we do like, I don't know, $70 or $100. I mean, I try to keep the boosting when you do it, you kind of choose your area, you choose your audience and things like that. And I tend to keep it pretty limited to this area and how long the post runs and things like that. And that's why we can get away with minimal money with a good bang for the buck. So I would guess maybe $100. I don't know. I mean, we could do a lot with $100 if I did like 6 or 7 boosts, depending on what activities we have going on.
Can we foresee any other type of expenses other than Facebook posts? In the past, we've had printing expenses. It's kind of hard to foresee what this year is going to bring. Should we be cautious and allocate the 285 we can? Or should we, try to narrow it down to the 100 that we think we might need for Facebook? Bill, Donna, Sarah, any other?
Yeah, I agree with Sarah. I think it is a good way to get the word out and it is pretty cost effective. I like the idea of maybe saying $100. I think we can get, it sounds like from Sarah's experience setting it up in the past that that's adequate. And then that gives us the safety of still having some other funds as well.
Okay. Since this is a voting meeting, we'll vote on our numbers all at the end, I think. But are we going to be in agreement that we want to use the $100 then to plug into this spot right now?
as opposed to 285?
Anywhere below 285 or below.
I gotcha. What about the concept of promoting an activity by running an ad in the Gardner paper and something that might run another 75 or $100. If we've got the 285 to use, having it allocated or put aside, and something that we really wanted to push that we didn't otherwise think would get exposure, running an ad. I mean, we can do that. And it does the 285 take away from the 5,700?
Yes, it does. Yep.
Okay. And I know that with Donna and I, our run through of the grantees, we almost might have trouble spending the money. So
I was thinking similar thought.
yeah, and
Exactly.
so my thought is that using another asset such as the newspaper, we can't run something in the Worcester paper because it's not going to be as geographically critical or focused. But the Gardner News, there are still people that read that, and perhaps putting aside another 100 for that might not be a bad idea.
The Barry Gazette is another good option.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that my sense is that using that additional 185, because we may end up using less for the boosts and have a little more at the end. But even an ad for the field day or the fair saying that the cultural council will have 2 or 3 representatives there. So my sense is that we go close to the 285, but I'm certainly open to whatever the other council members feel.
I guess
Go ahead, Lori.
we don't lose, if we don't use the 285, it will get rolled into next year. Like we didn't use $194 this year of our administrative expenses. So it's actually allocated into this year's, it's part of that $548 we're carrying forward. So if we do say we want to use $285 for admin expenses, it doesn't disappear if we don't use it. It will roll in, whatever's left will roll into next year's grants. So that's all I had.
And I'm also, I'm just looking at the Worcester Telegram online site. I know
You can
that
do
for
2
me-
things at once.
Yeah, on my computer. Yeah, I can. I'm just kind of looking around. I mean, I don't know if there's any way. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a good way to put an ad that people, would really want on the online edition of the Worcester Telegram. It would be nice to know how you get like a listing that people can see in the Worcester Telegram. Where I came from in the Monadnock region, the local paper there uses a service. It's called like Spark, I think, and you can actually pay. You can get a free listing, but you can also pay to boost your listing through this Spark thing. And it's kind of like a community bulletin board in the paper. And it can really boost it pretty nicely. It was definitely more expensive than Facebook. But I don't know if the Telegram has that option.
I don't know if the Telegram has, but there are some things like events and a couple other places I would post listings for the bead shows that were coming up just to get the word out there. So I would go looking for, because in the last few years, getting attendance at any kind of event is always like pulling teeth. So I would go out and I think one of them was called Events, EVENTS or something like that. And there was another that I posted things in. I can't remember if I paid or if it was free, but maybe we can research some of those things. But I think paying for advertisement isn't a bad idea. I mean, it's something we know that the grantees are supposed to do.
but doesn't happen.
You're right,
Doesn't happen.
be
They
honest.
don't do it.
And
And literally, I'd like to have the opportunity to perhaps try that because, and then see if it makes a difference. I mean, if we had something at the senior center, instead of just having the placard out in front and hoping people will drive by and see it, if we were to throw $50 at the Gardner News, and as a result, people from Gardner or Barry happened to come, and we visually and physically saw there was a difference, we'd have some active way of seeing that it worked, that the word got out. So I'm once again advocating for the 285, especially where if we don't spend it, it can roll forward. So, let's get any more feedback we have, and then let's take a vote on it.
I want some amount. I guess I have no problems going with the 285. Because if something's unforeseen that we really want to promote, it seems like this year, everything's going to be harder because it sounds like there's a lot of things that are virtual, that
Yeah.
events, and I don't understand how we're going to promote some of those things. But it's something we have to address. So having the dollars allocated that we can try to address it probably makes sense. Other than for Facebook, I think the 100, so maybe do the 285. So we have another avenue or another pot of money to balance off the Facebook posts or boosts.
Other members?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
That's good.
Okay, so I make a motion that we allocate the full 5% of the yearly allocation of 5,700, that being $285 into the admin fund. Somebody second that
I'll
motion?
second that motion.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion's carried. Let's put that 285 in the admin column.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Going forward, this changes our numbers a little bit that are on this sheet, so I will be redoing it and resending it out. So basically, the bottom of the sheet is just the final total is taking 548.72 and adding it to the 5,700.
Yep.
And coming up with 6248.72. We're going to subtract 285 from that to come up with the amount that we're going to have to grant. And that amount is $5,963.72.
Did you get that, Dawn?
I'm getting it, yeah.
Okay.
Are you doing the math to make sure the math is done right also?
And recording it. Okay. Laurie, continue.
At that point, we have this amount we want to allocate, so we need to vote and approve our budget of how much we're going to grant at the $5,963.72. So that is the gist of what I have to propose and to bring to the table today is if we can vote to accept that as the amount that we're going to grant to our grantees.
Looking for a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries, and so noted. And Laurie, that allows you to continue working on the yearly plan that has to be submitted?
Yep, I'll get to a point where it's going to ask me about what date we mailed those denial letters. So I can't finish it until we have those in the mail and we have that deadline that it has to be submitted by, but this will take me a long way. There will come a question. What is it? whether we've done our yearly or annual
Survey?
survey.
Mm. That's a little hard right now, but
Is what I'm gonna do is see if I leave the date in there that is there from last year and see if it'll accept it. If it says that's not acceptable, I will get back to the group.
Sarah, were you going to comment something?
I was going to say it's a little hard to do a survey, but actually it's probably easier because so many people are used to looking at things online and clicking and this and that. But I also think based on what's going on in the world, it would be hard to survey because who knows what people are going to say they're interested in right now. You know, Netflix.
I think it'll be at the end of this year, it'll be interesting to see what people have found that's attracted them.
Mhm.
Anyways, that's an aside. That is not part of where we needed to go with this discussion now. I think we need to move on to the grants, don't you, Bill?
I agree. And just one PS on that. Is there perhaps in a future discussion, we can talk about using Facebook as a medium to convey or to ask questions from the residents, what they're interested in seeing or what items they would find to be from a cultural, entertainment, educational standpoint, an incentive. So, I mean, that might be something we could post on Facebook and get some feedback on, but to be continued. Okay, moving right along. If you'll take out the worksheet, the executive summary prepared for the 2021 Hubbasten Cultural Council grant applications. I believe, did we have 17 grant
I
applications?
believe it was 17 in all.
17 in all?
Thank you again, Lori, for putting that all together.
It really is just a snapshot. I found that I had to go print some that I was nebulous on to understand them more and see if they had any attachments that would lead me to make a decision or decide whether I thought it was something the community would like or not. So I found that I needed something more than it, but let's see how we do.
Yeah, it's a good summary of all of them. We've been looking at them as the grants were submitted and they just, they get a little wordy. I don't know how you dropped it down into that, but it's great. It really gives us a good idea.
If I can just go back real quick, I just checked our Facebook page in terms of communicating with the town. We have currently 109 followers. So that means those are people that without doing anything, our posts would show up in their feed. So just in terms of a number, that's what we have following us on Facebook right now.
That's cool.
Less than have been had a COVID positive test for Hubbasten.
One other aside, a while back, a woman asked a question through Facebook. I don't know if anybody else saw it. She wanted to know how she could join the Cultural Council.
Ah,
So I told her she could contact Bill Shea, or she could contact me or any of the members. And this was a while ago.
I do seem to remember that.
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look and see who it was and maybe try. I don't think there was a response back to my response to her.
No, I don't think there was.
But I would say, by all means, to if you can go back on that, and Laurie, if you or contact that person or you have access to, I'd be happy to reach out to her.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And all right. So in looking over the executive summary, just for curiosity's sake, I added up the total. If we were to have an unlimited amount of money and we wanted to give full access to everybody and grant all the grantees what they're asking for, the total was $10,435. And as we know from just reviewing the numbers with Laurie, that we have that 6248.72 minus 285. So we have approximately like half the amount of money if we were to use all of our grant money towards the grantees, but that's just put out as a hypothetical. So in order to remain consistent with staying organized, what I thought we would do is look at each grant one at a time, and then solicit any input from any of the council members, and then take a vote and see from a standpoint of an initial go through where we are in terms of the amount of money expended. So our secretary is going to kind of keep track of the money as we're considering allocating it. And that's the procedure we're going to use. So without any further ado, the first is the music is love. And I presume that you've all had an opportunity to read through the paraphrasing of the grant. So I'm opening the floor to input from all of you. So anybody like to start, just jump in.
I would like to start. There was a letter attached to that one. This is one that I had to go back. I went back and printed. And the letter, I don't know if you have it or if you'd like me to read it. The letter is from Nancy Afonso, who is a member of the senior center, very active with especially the singing group there. And she is recommending, she is saying that they would like to have this activity. So she is, you know, it's kind of a go, from her point of view, it's a go. I'll just read the first paragraph. This is a letter to support requesting a grant for Don Kelly and her Music is Love, Music, Magic, and Comedy show to perform once again in the Hubbasten Senior Center in the spring of 2021. Their programs have always been very well received. And it just goes on. So I think we often want to know what the senior center participants, whether they would appreciate the event. Here, where she's telling us they would. So that's my take on this event, I guess.
I think we were looking at that and we were looking at the date for the project, which is April 21st. And do we know, will the senior center even be open at that point? Is it open now?
No, I think it's closed till the 4th of April, at least, I think. So that's a question for a lot of these things, I think,
exactly.
whether it's going to be open and where does the performer stand on adjusting that date?
Right, and then how many people would be able to attend in that small area, really? If they have to social distance and all that, that's
Good point.
we were going with that, but it sounds good. If it can be outside, maybe that would be a better venue. I don't know.
Organized.
I like the idea of a later date and outside, if
Yeah.
that's
We did
possible.
have at one point a tent set up outside when it was fall, and when they were meeting in a tent, it was in the back near the gymnasium where we would vote. There was this big tent they had set up, and when it got colder, they moved inside, and I think that's when they ended up having some.
Okay.
But I think they do have, or were renting a tent, and I like that idea of seeing if they could do something outside.
Outside, yeah.
I will offer to contact Don Kelly if we decide to go ahead and allocate funds for them and say that the final acceptance would be contingent upon them willing to give us a later date because we would be quite concerned about the senior center being open, the number of people that could be there, because if it's cut down to 7 or 8 people that you can fit in that small room, and the possibility of doing it outside. So if we want to go ahead with this, I'll accept that responsibility and I'll write her literally tomorrow. So, okay. Sarah, how about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I like that the senior center, specifically indicated that this is a program that they want. So I think we should go ahead.
Excellent. Okay.
I'd also like to, based on, because I had the same thought that that Bill and Donna had, that I'm not sure if I see enough to give the money to this year, and possibly giving them more money. It's said in one of the pieces of information I was reading from the Mass Cultural Council, it said you can give more. So
They definitely want to support the artists. There's no doubt about that.
right. So I would also be in favor. I thought this sounded just very nice, and I would be in favor of possibly upping the money as well.
If we have to rent a tent as well. They don't. those
But I
away.
don't know if they have one. They had one before. It would be a question as to, you could mention that, they were using a tent in the fall. I have no idea. Maybe they own it or something or
Right.
whatever.
But if they had to rent one, I mean, it's a few $100 anyway to rent some of those larger tents. So maybe we could allocate them more money just because of that. But anyway, one way to find out is to ask them.
And Sarah, very good point, because in that particular one, they felt that their expenses exceeded the amount of money they were asking for. Because it says 350 and they were asking for the 300. So for the time being, for our first go through, I will make a motion that we grant that that grantee the $300, the full amount for the time being. I will ask for somebody to second that motion.
I second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that we're off to a good start. I think we've got a lot of common ground here in terms of there will be others that I expect that I'll have to reach out to and ask for adjustments regarding the time frame and possibly once again shifting from indoors to outdoors and once again perhaps requesting that they time their activity with the fair or the field day. So going ahead to the second one, that's Uniquely Quabbin Magazine. They've asked for $250, and so feedback from members.
I say yes.
Okay,
We
I
did,
vote
just the only feedback is
last
last year we gave them 300.
Yep.
I would give them the 300.
okay,
But they are only asking for 250.
Mhm.
But this is another one you think it would be interesting to support them also.
Mhm.
okay. Donna and Sarah?
I agree. 300's, they're great.
Yep. No issues.
Okay,
They reach a lot of people.
okay. So I make a motion that we accept, we approve Uniquely Quabbin Magazine in the amount of 300, which is the input that we got from our council members. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that carries. We're going to put aside $300 for them. Won't they be surprised? Okay, next one is Hip Hop Dance chair exercise for seniors with an exclamation point. And obviously, on or around Black History Month is not going to work. So the offer to contact them, should we decide to go ahead, is on the table, and I will take care of that. So they're asking for $280, and they say their expenses are in excess of that. So,
But before you contact them, we should probably decide whether this is one we all agree that we should go
That's
forward
correct.
with, I guess.
so, all right,
Right.
input, please.
Did we get any input from the senior center on this one?
No, there was, let me just go through, because this is one that I said I would print out. Let me just look at, there's, let's see. They provided a list of references, 3 pages.
Yeah, they had a ton of stuff.
None of them are the Hubbasten Cultural Council. Nothing here that swayed me personally one way or another. Just that I assume that they're qualified for what they're doing. I have no idea if it's something of interest, though, to the seniors.
I think the one thing I would be interested in is potentially reaching out to them and seeing if they only do this chair thing for seniors. I don't really see it being real popular at our senior center, but I'm wondering if they do anything for kids. I mean, an online thing for kids might be really fun, but I don't know if they're only geared to this chair thing for seniors.
That's what it sounds like.
And it mentions under the primarily served kids, they did say no. So,
Okay.
okay, Sarah?
Yep, I'm with the consensus on this one.
And Donna?
I have a question mark, but it didn't appeal to me at all. I don't know.
And I also, that's my input, that under the circumstances, I'm not sure that we get a really good turnout for that. So as far as bang for our buck, I'm not in favor of that one. So we can say no.
I would also not say that I would skip this one also.
Okay.
Right. Sounds like a
So-
lot of noise.
So the motion is on the table to pass on this one or to deny it. All those in favor?
Hi.
Anybody say against it? Okay, so we're gonna deny them. So I'm gonna say no. Okay. All right, the next is the Appleseed Country Fair live entertainment portion. And reading over the paraphrasing, it's pretty comprehensive. And they're asking for $1,000. And they're looking at a September date. And the Red Farm?
Red Apple.
Red Apple Farm is located in Phillipston, in case you're not familiar with it. So my input on this is I don't know that we should be spending money on something that's not in town, number one. Number two, most people are fully aware of this and would go on their own. And I don't know that our contributing to that is going to make a difference. So
It also is not really free to the public. It costs $10 to park.
$10 to park.
yeah.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Wow. It sounds like a nice event, but again, I think people are going to go anyway because they know about it. They've been there before. They love Red Apple Farm. It's a great place to go, but I mean, we may have money at the end where we say maybe we'll throw them a couple $100, but right now I would say no myself.
Laurie?
I would say no.
Okay. And Sarah and Sarah?
Same.
I actually liked it. I thought it was like done and easy, and I think one of the things I would be interested in is how do they list their sponsors? You know, where do they post sponsors? And if it's, you know, something where we could get some eyes on, there's like a big board and it says we want to thank these sponsors or something like that, I thought it could be worth a little bit of money, not $1,000. But I don't know, I just, it sounded, there are so many on this list that don't sound like they're going to work. And I was like, oh, that sounds like it'll work. So I guess that's why I was leaning towards it, but not for $1,000. But I do agree with Donna's idea. Let's see if we have any money at the end. And I would be interested in seeing if, you know, how they indicate that they received money from us.
Because we do require that any of the grantees do put a post out that they have been sponsored either entirely or partly by the Cultural Council, Massachusetts Cultural Council. And, you know, I've never been to it. Laurie has. And I'm not sure if they have I know they're right off Route 2, right, Donna?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've been to the
Yeah,
farm.
I've been to the
before.
farm before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Years ago, you were there.
Okay. So for the sake of moving along, let's table that one and then come back to it because I would like to make a vote on it by the end of the meeting. So next one, Fitchburg Art Museum, the 85th Regional Exhibition of Arts, Art and Crafts. They spent a lot of money, $20,000 to promote it, and they were looking for $200 from us. They gave a time frame of the 25th of June through the 5th of September. Okay, so input from council members.
My input was we've passed on this in the past, and this year might be a good year to support it since artists are hurting. All museums are hurting because they can't have as much participation. So I guess I was kind of thinking for the $200, it was worth it.
I agree with Lori.
Okay.
Oh,
Sarah?
Agreed.
Okay, Okay,
Sounds
good.
good. We'll get the
You
money.
presented a different perspective.
Right.
And based on that, and based on the amount of money, once again, I was thinking, how many from Hubbasten are going to go to Fitchburg? And I might ask them a question, and that is, how would they promote it to Hubbasten residents? So I'm putting a little note down to me for me to take care of that. And but based on the input we have, we've made a motion to grant them the $200. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Okay, so, all right. So there's $200 that we will grant to them. All right, page 2. First applicant is somebody that we've worked with before, Jay, and that's the Chain Reactions, Home to Household Materials. And he is asking for $500. I believe from our records, we gave him $500 last year.
I believe so,
Yep.
yeah.
And that was an event as it was set up last year, where he came to the center school. Donna, why don't you give a quick review of that?
Well, I'm sure you remember, well, we were all in favor of it to begin with, and then I did attend the morning session, and he was great. The kids loved it. He worked with them, giving them little experiments to do on their own. They all grabbed whatever they needed to do, and the kids seemed to love it. Then he did a second showing in the afternoon. So, I mean, for my My input would be definitely get him back and give him the 500. He was good. He was very, very good.
Except that he's going to do
And
it
the-
virtually this time.
And the kids, he is.
Mhm.
I missed
Yeah.
that.
Return visit.
Oh,
virtual.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
therefore, the school has to buy in, I think, if they're going to have it virtually.
Yep.
'Cause I
Mhm.
think he was,
They
and
have to-
I just don't understand how, I'm confused as to how it works, but
Mhm.
he's worth trying to make it work, maybe, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, he was very, very good. I missed that virtual part in this
Mhm.
one.
Is
Wow.
I don't mean to be dumb, but are the schools open in Hubbardston?
Hubbardston Center School is open every day. For, the kids go to school every day. Quabbin, I think, is remote 2 days and then 3 days, and then they attend 2 days.
Mhm.
But the kids at Center School, they have kindergarten through 5th grade at Center School now. 6th grade is at Quabbin.
Wow.
It's interesting in the morning because they have that lineup for the drop off.
Mhm.
Good luck.
Where they have a single line and a policeman, making sure nobody gets hit, but it's this huge line at
Yeah.
right 9 o'clock or something where the kids are dropped off, and you kind of want to avoid the center of town at drop off and at
Right.
the end of the school day.
Mhm.
Wow.
Um, I just wonder if he's set to come, if he can do in person, or if we could put him off to the fall as well, if he's not comfortable doing an in-person thing.
Um,
I think
Yeah.
that,
This one's so up in the air for me.
yeah.
I mean, I like it.
How about if I reach out to him and ask him if he would be willing to go physically to the school in the fall, hoping that we will be back to, all hands on deck in the fall, and telling him that we're giving serious consideration to accepting his grant, or if in fact he has experience doing the virtual part of it, how it has, how it's worked, and how he would intend to contact the school and set up the online sessions.
Even then, though, with the virtual online, you can't, it's, again, I like the idea. I don't mean to shoot it down. I'm concerned about with the virtual, it sounds like maybe they were thinking that they'd get a bunch of kids into one room and he would be virtual, but the kids would be in the room. And I don't think they'll have auditorium or cafeteria type settings for a while now.
Mhm. Okay.
No, I'm guessing that he wrote that based on kids at home. And that
Oh, that kids at home.
I'm guessing that he's basing it on school districts that everybody's virtual all the time. And that he would just essentially be like leading it as the teacher. And it sounds like supplies kids could get at home and things like that. That's
Yeah.
what that was my impression of it. My impression of it wasn't that he would be like we are now and then the
Gotcha.
kids would be in front of him. I got the impression that it would be like he would be Lori, before she left, and then the kids would all be doing their thing. That was my impression anyway.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, he's talking about using pencils and strings and rubber bands and popsicle sticks, ping pong balls.
So maybe he could explain what his vision is of how it will work virtually or something.
Right.
Just
And
let him know we are intrigued, I guess, as to how to make it safe. And
I wonder if he knew that the kids are not learning remotely at Center School, if
Mhm.
he would come into the school as he did last year, if they would allow him to do that. I don't know, that would be something you would have to talk to him about.
Okay.
I guess that might be difficult to have the kids social distance and, you know,
Yeah,
they,
mhm.
his supplies of games and stuff, they couldn't really be playing together with them.
Yeah, that would be, yeah, it's all hands off on that stuff. So it probably would have to be virtual. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right, Lori. Yeah.
You've got your hands full with this one, Bill.
Yep. Sarah, any input on this?
Yeah, I think just getting some of those answers about the, how will it actually occur, but otherwise I think it's a good one.
Okay. All right. So I think we don't have to vote on this. We're going to just say that we are all in favor of pursuing and asking more questions of him. I know that my interactions with him and Donna's were very positive. And so I'll pose those questions to him. Should I also include, would he consider doing it live in the fall if everything is back to what is considered to be
No.
normal?
Mhm.
Okay, then I'll do that. All right. So, all right. Next one is the Listening Wellness Center, Yoga and Stress Management for Adults and Seniors. Talking about January to December of 2000, in other words, a year. And they were looking for $1,000 that the Listening Wellness Center, we have supported them in the past, and they are located in Barry. So
We've supported their kids program. We
That is
have
correct.
passed on their adult program in the past.
that is correct, Doug. Thank you. All right. Sarah and Sarah.
Yeah, I think it's a good organization. And I'm just wondering how much we gave them last year.
We didn't support this particular program
Right.
last year. They do, maybe I have a note on
$500
it.
on the other. The youth.
Last year we gave them for the kids program $500.
Mhm.
The year before that, 500. The group before us gave them $860 in 2018. And 2017, they were given $600, all for the youth entertainment enrichment program. So we've supported it continually over the years.
And
But not the adults, I'm sorry.
right. So not to jump ahead to the youth one, but I did reach out to her and ask for some numbers, which she supplied me along with brochures and so on and so forth. So my impression, Sarah Lyon, what do you think?
I'm pretty much in agreement. My memory is now jogged that we did talk about the adult program and would they really go out there to do these programs and things like that. And I wasn't really seeing it. Did they, it doesn't look like they really gave any kind of online option as far as I can tell.
It says, or no,
In
first
classes.
line says programs for adults and seniors are available online. The new 2021 online classes are scheduled for January through at least May. I think it might be interesting to get the seniors online.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing so much telehealth at UMass. And I do know that anytime we have to do telehealth in Hubbasten, it's a challenge because a lot of people don't have good cell service or they don't have good connectivity in Hubbasten. So just putting that out there. But yeah, I would be in agreement that leaning more towards supporting the kids program, not this.
Okay. So my sense is from the council members that we should deny this grant. All those in favor of denying the grant?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we're going to deny that grant, just as we have in the past. All right, next one. The Children's Parade, Lady Auxiliary here in Hubbasten. This is the one that Laurie was very proactive in getting her paid, et cetera, et cetera. And the magic show I attended, I thought it was spectacular. The kids were really involved. It's October, in conjunction with Halloween activities, and I was thrilled that we participated in the past, and so I'm wholeheartedly in favor of supporting it again. So input from you folks.
I would agree.
I would agree.
Yep.
I don't like her politics.
Oh, oh,
I saw the sign in the yard.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I was like, eh.
I really like her son, but I disagree. She's, or maybe it's her grandson, Brandon. He's a nice fellow, but I did see his politics on Facebook. But
Okay.
I think this, Bill and Donna, one or both of you attended this and said it was well attended and organized with the school, coordinated. And so it sounds like it's kind of amazing that she pulls it off. So I would want to support that happening in our town again.
Okay, so made a motion that we should grant the $400 to Florence. And with the caveat, if the Ladies Auxiliary or some other organization is ponying up the other $300, because I know that there was the cost of the magician, there was the cost of the food and the drink and beverages and all that at the school itself. So, but for the time being, I'm making a motion that we grant the $400. All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Okay, so Florence will get her $400. Okay, the Blues Brothers briefcase concert. They're looking for $1,600. They say they'll do it in the fall of 2021. For that, I'd like.
it actually says at the fair on here.
It does, huh? Okay, yeah, fall.
And in the very top of the page, it says Hubbasten Bandstand, in parentheses, it says fair. So, but that's in spring, isn't it, the fair? Maybe they mean field
There's in
day.
June.
July. Oh, June. I
Mhm.
thought it was June.
And field days in September.
Oh, okay.
I was super confused. It says Blues Brothers, but it describes an Oktoberfest thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Doesn't
Then
really
it's not-
go hand in hand. Mm.
I don't, I think he didn't fill out, I think he offers a variety of programs. And so I didn't know.
Mhm. Okay.
It
And-
doesn't, yeah, his title does not sound like, I don't understand. I was confused too.
Okay. And Donna, yeah.
I had no interest in that, but I, whatever. I mean, I'll be open to anything, but
Yeah. You can wear your
I
leader
kind
hose
of
in, Donna.
glanced right over. Yeah, do that. Scary thought.
And Sarah?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right. So my input on it is we should pass on this one because it's not as clear as we think it should be. And I don't think we can ask them to take half the money, because if they're bringing an papa
Yeah.
band and all of the things that go along with that, it may not be a case of them willing to take a cut. So for the, I would say for the sake of moving along, that we will deny their request. All those in favor of that?
Hi.
I,
Any opposition? Okay, so they are denied. Next, the
Paycheck.
Gregory Maycek. That's the pastel. I'm very interested in hearing input from Sarah and Laurie on that, and of course the rest of us. So fire away.
My only input was he seems popular. He seems qualified for what he does. And I guess I would support it again. It took place last year, right? Somehow with, they
Yeah.
had a
Somehow
limited number of people, but it still took place. So I guess, other opinions, I guess.
I've said this before, the first one I went to was incredibly well attended. And then the second one I went to, and this was pre-COVID, there were like 8 of us. And it sounds like that's how many he had this past year. I think he does indicate that he can have some kind of a remote element if it's needed. I'm not quite sure how he would do that because he brings all his own pastels. And so, and he like passes them around and stuff like that. And then he collects them at the end. And I think these are very expensive. So I'm not quite sure how you would do that in a Zoom setting. I think he would be very, it would probably be work very well in a Zoom setting, but I just don't understand how people, if they wanted to be remote, would access the materials.
I think also he accommodated us immediately because with Sarah's input, remember it was December and you thought that might have a bearing on it. And I asked him to change it. He changed it. So under the circumstances, he was responsive and responsible. And where he has been a repeat grantee, that overall the idea that he does a good job and he's worth it, even though if my recollection is correct, he seems to go up $5 a year.
He does. He does.
Then it was 500, now it's 505.
Right.
Yeah.
I would still be, I mean, and hopefully by October, and yeah, I did very much appreciate his changing his date. I would hope by October we could do things like that again. But does he have an alternative for people who say want to do it at home? And in all honesty, I would probably rather do it at home in general anyway, you know. After a long day at work, it's like, yeah, I'll watch someone tell me what to do rather than being at the library. Anyway, I would be in favor of it.
Okay. Sarah with an H?
Just the same questions about, the delivery method. So maybe we put this in the category of coming back to it once we get those answers. But I think it's a good program based on, the experiences from past years.
Good delivery method. I like that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I believe that he will accommodate whatever we asked for. And with that in mind, if it's okay with the group, please let me know if it's not. I make a motion that we grant him the $505 that he's asking for. And if for some reason he doesn't want to accommodate, then we'd come back on it. But for the sake of going through all of these, all those in favor of accepting this grant?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so he is granted the 505. Okay, on to page 3. We have Mr. Henry Lappin, Henry the Juggler performance, and he is looking for $425. He is open to doing it in the summer or the fall. He's also open to doing it indoors or outdoors. Donna and I spent a little time online looking at his performances. And Donna, what did you think about that?
I thought he was very entertaining. They had, he did a lot of whatever, the juggling and so on and so forth. Then he had audience participation. He had kids, and he had actually a couple up there for a while. It was very funny. It was very funny. It's very entertaining. So, I mean, I would go along with the 425. No issue with that.
Would you say this would be good outdoors, like at the Hubbasten Fair or Field Day or something? Would you promote that, Bill?
Yeah, I would think either the fair or, yeah, I would think so. Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, either one would be great.
Sarah's?
Yeah, I think it's a go.
Okay. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, I was fine with it. I didn't do as much research as you guys did, but I thought it sounded good, and I thought it would be something that would definitely draw people to him at the fair. I think either field day or the fair, you want to have something that that will draw people to you, and it seems like that type of thing, you know, would draw people to him at that
Yeah.
event.
Costume would draw you to him.
Mhm.
Very colorful. He very entertaining, different
Mhm.
from anything we've had, certainly.
Okay, so the general consensus is that is a go. So I make a motion to grant him $425. And I will reach out to him and ask him to schedule it in accordance with either the fair or the field day. All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Okay, so he gets $425. All right. Now, the next is the Listening Wellness Center, which we have made a preliminary discussion about. And that, once again, is this is geared towards the younger people. What I do remember is that in spite of the fact that we've granted them money, they still charge a nominal amount for classes that are held. I believe that nothing was more than $25 and nothing was less than $10. And once again, to refresh your memory, when I reached out to the gal in charge, right back to me, supplied me with brochures, a list of their curriculum, and a list of some numbers that indicated that there was some response from Hubbasten residents, youngsters who went over to Barry for some of the programs. So in the past, correct me if I'm wrong, Laurie, we've given them half the amount. And my thought is that for the time being, we should stay in that realm because the numbers that people from Hubbasten took advantage of were not that great, but I'm certainly open to feedback from you ladies.
I'm just curious how it will actually work now during the pandemic. They say something about online. I did not go and print off this particular one in full. I wish I had. I had written, the reason I didn't print it off is because I had given it almost an automatic yes. Because I think what they do is very good. Sitting here talking with you guys, you start to wonder a little bit more about the logistics of making some of these things actually work. So I wish I had printed off. Did anybody see any more information about how this is going to, how they're making this work during the pandemic?
It does, in just your little recap, mention online. It says the programs will help students develop independence and meet new people that they may not have met in an in-person class. And it does mention in the last sentence about it's a very stressful time for the kids, and it would be something, a really good opportunity for them to focus and relax.
I'm just curious about how they do the online part of it, but if they're able to reach out, I want to support them, with the 500, I guess.
Okay.
I actually think they might do better in an online situation because the kids have gotten so much more used to it. And you don't have to worry about transportation and things like that. And if
True,
kids
yeah.
are just coming home from school, and if it gives them a more of a something to do at home when they come home from school, because so many other activities are canceled, if they're able to do online with the kids, I think it's actually better. So I would support them, and am totally fine with the $500 that we've given in the past.
I agree with Sarah on that one.
Yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense.
and we would expect that from your educational background, Sarah, that you would also consider this to be a worthwhile endeavor. And so the general consensus is that we'll grant them, as we did in the past, $500. So I make a motion that we grant the center $500 of what they're asking for. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. So the ayes have it. Moving along to Chainsaws, Cheeseburgers, and Rock and Roll Live. We haven't heard from this individual in the past. They're looking for $500. They did not specify a time frame, but we did look. Donna, why don't you give a little bit of input on that? We looked.
We didn't really see too much when we looked. It looked kind of entertaining, but then again, wasn't that virtual too?
It was virtual, and what we saw was testimonials. Some
Oh,
people
that's
that
right. Yeah, yeah.
had attended one of them when it was live. I mean, he did one at, I think it was Keene State
Yeah.
in New Hampshire for the class of 2020. And the place was jam full of college students that were attending it. And it looked like a lot of fun. But once again, we have, how does he get across to our audience in a virtual setting? So I'm looking for feedback on that.
Go ahead, Lori.
I didn't have anything really important to say.
I would be really interested in terms of what the school would want, because I think it's geared to more of a grade that's in the Quabbin district, not in Hubbasten per se. And if the school is, I think we would, I don't know, I think the school would really have to be interested in having this and accommodating, and I don't know how things work at the middle school level, and I would guess he's somebody who probably shops this to schools independently of cultural councils.
And
I had just questions about logistically, how you're gonna make this work. I was left wanting more information, I guess.
and to make it effective, he would have to really market it not only to the middle school, but also to Quabbin. And so I'm not sure what he has in mind for doing that. And I didn't see anything in his grant proposal, overall grant proposal, that he got into details of how he was going to do that. So I was kind of question mark on that.
That is one that I did exactly the same, and out of nowhere, yes, I had a question mark.
I mean, if it had been like Gregory Maycek, who literally is like, I've worked with the library, we have a date, we're ready to go.
Mhm.
Or the song people who have already worked with the senior center, they've already kind of done the background work. If he had something from Quabbin that said, they want me to come and this is what we're doing, that would be a different thing, but he doesn't have that type of information attached.
And is it a canned kind of a presentation that he gears to all kids 6 and over, or was he going to put something together for us that would have said, okay, you kids out there in the Quabbin region, I know that there are certain demographics or certain things about the history of the Quabbin that he might have personalized it. So to give $500 for something he already has completed, it would be like, I think, a lot of money for something if it's just plain canned. So I will offer to get in touch with him and ask him about implementation and personalizing it to our area and see what he comes back with. Are you all in favor of that?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm listening.
I guess it depends on, in my mind, I guess. I guess it's difficult. My initial thought was he will come back with something. Do we want to pursue him with questions if we think we're gonna not do it? Or is there a chance, are people saying that they'd like to do it if he comes back with really good response?
Okay, Sarah's.
I think we could put him at the end of the line, and if there's money left over or we have wiggle room, we could come back to it. But I think that we have other proposals that did the legwork and are more detailed.
I like that. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree with Sarah. I mean, I would really want to know how he's going to do this. And I mean, it's a business for everybody who's submitting these grants, but his seemed more like a business,
Okay.
like he's trying to make it big type of thing.
Here's what I propose, that I reach out to him, ask him a few germane questions, and if I get what I consider to be some really good responses at our very next meeting, we will revisit that. So for the time being, we'll table it. I'll make a quick reach out and get his feedback, and we'll move on. So on to page 4. This is the Kurt Wimple. What is it?
Whipple.
Whipple.
It's
Yeah,
not
Whipple. I can't keep saying Wimple.
Wimple.
Looking for $750. A activity to take place between basically now and the end of the year, and it duo pianists, composers, and educators, Whipple and Mora. So, okay. I have my thoughts, but I'll ask yours first. Donna?
I have no idea what this guy has in mind. And it's not virtual, it's on cable. Is it a piano concert? What is it? A lecture? I don't know. I in my initial go through, I gave it a big no, but I could be swayed again if I have more information.
Ladies?
I mean, it sounds like a piano concert to me. I don't know.
Just to be honest, I put one of those big no's on it too. But I did have questions, it says it would be distributed over our local cable access. We'd have to promote that pretty strongly, I guess, to get people to even go there. I'm not sure if everybody has access on all. If you have DirecTV, do you have access to our local cable?
Hubbasten, yeah, maybe not.
You have it with Spectrum, but I assume everybody has it with Spectrum, but I'm not sure.
So we essentially have 3 no's. That would be Laurie, Donna, and I. Sarah's?
Yeah, I'm okay with passing on this one as well.
Okay.
I'm okay with passing on it. I don't know where my local cable station is. I think I have it. I think I watched it once.
Okay,
Yeah, I again, they kind of seem to be not gearing things to Hubbardston in particular. They seem to be gearing to any cultural council they could throw throw in a grant application into.
okay.
I think that's so valid because I looked at this and I questioned whether the Hubbardston community would really be interested in this.
Mhm,
And I think there is a segment, but I'm not sure how large that segment is.
mhm.
Okay, so I make a motion to deny this grant request. All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Okay, so they get a denial letter. All right, John Persino, who is Celebration and Story, Song and Music. Once again, no definite date. 4/25 is what he's asking for. Not to kids. And I had read it over and I did not care for it, but I am once again very interested in hearing your input.
Did we turn him down last year?
I think we've turned him down
Yeah.
several times.
Miscellaneous for me.
He has an extremely interesting letter here. Did anybody read the letter that he wrote to the council?
I did not.
Mm,
Let me just read it real quickly because what did I put? I actually put a yes, but that might have been because after I had read the letter. Enclosed, you will find my cultural council grant application. If you will see that it, and he has this highlighted, does not have an originator in town. If you have been on the council in years past, no doubt you have seen this application before. I don't expect nor want this kind of grant to be taken as a priority. Surprise. So why do I send in this application? Making personal contact with venues in each town is what I prefer, and I do a fair amount. I do a fair amount of that. Still, with all that, I am juggling a 24-hour day is not enough time. Sound familiar? So he basically goes on and says he's not necessarily looking for a grant. At the bottom is, if you decide to go forward with my proposal, please send me the phone and email for the local venue sponsor you would like to have me contact. But I don't think I've ever seen anything where they're kind of saying, give it to somebody else, basically, who's more deserving. That's what he's saying.
Just weird.
It is a little weird.
It's a hell of a sales pitch.
Right. Yeah, don't hire me.
So the only questions I had was if he could do what he's doing outdoors, maybe it would be something to do at field day or the fair, but I don't know. I was taken aback, I guess, by his letter. Any other?
It's just weird.
Oh,
Maybe that was a way of getting our attention.
yeah, reverse psychology.
Yeah, reverse psychology.
It
Might have
sounds like he
worked for
needs a
me.
helpline. Like, are you okay?
100 help. 1-800 say no. Okay, I'm sensing a consensus. So I'm going to say that we deny this application, and I will send him the denial letter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, all right, so John is a no. The next is All Things Irish 2021. That is a $300 request. He said March, May, June. So
Sometime.
yeah, anytime, the Shillelagh Award, etc. Now, Donna, did you get that? Is that Barry? That's, oh, yeah. That's the one we actually did a little research on. It said June outside like at Nornay Park. Nornay Park is in Barry. For those of you familiar with the geography, if you were, it's South Barry.
South Bend.
So it's not Barry Center at the top of the hill. It is if you went out that way and didn't go up the hill and you went around the back way, you come out where the Barry Mills used to be located. And there is a nice common ground there. There's a gazebo, and they do hold events there. We looked it up, and I know the area.
It
Plenty
sounds
of
like
room.
a better venue than when you guys went a few years ago. Did you?
I went.
go?
Yeah, I went.
Mobbed. It was wall to wall people, and
Oh, it was really hard. Really,
yeah,
really hard.
an outside venue would be much better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from my standpoint, being prejudicial Irish, I was in favor of it, but I'm certainly listening to other. That might be one where we slap that $50 ad in the Barry Gazette, and therefore get more people there, and also try to get people from Hubbasten there too. So
I think they probably have their advertising in line because
They do.
they did get a following. So I'm not sure whether we need to spend money on that.
all right.
I like the idea that they've I wasn't no, but Bill, you're convincing me to change my mind. I like the idea that they've thought ahead, that they know they're going to have something outdoors. They've planned, they've picked their location, that they've done their homework. That says a lot to me.
Sarah?
Yeah, I think as long as it's an outdoor event or just safety, I think it's worth keeping on the list.
And therefore, I will reach out to them, tell them that we are favorably considering it. If they will go with, and I think that's what they're going to do, because it's not going to happen in March, and
No.
probably by May, maybe, but that they do hold it outside. So with that in mind, I make a motion that we accept this grant and offer them the $300 to hold the event. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So the Irish are in. Irish need not apply, does not apply. And now on to page 5. And we have just one more, and that is the Wenchenin Music Festival to be held on the 21st of June in Wenchenin. And they're asking for $1,000. Have they applied before, Laurie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think we've all seen it before.
And we've all kiboshed it because of the likelihood of our population going is negligible, and they would probably go on their own anyway. So, but I am interested in input from the group.
Same thoughts
If
as
I
you.
can, go ahead, Lori.
Nope, I was just going to say my thoughts were along the same lines as Bill.
Under normal circumstances, I would be thinking the same thing, but tallying up where we're at with money right now, we still have some money, and just in terms of supporting the arts and good faith, and for all I know, there may be local musicians who live in our town or surrounding towns who participate in this. I think they asked for a whole lot of money, but I would be interested in giving them essentially a donation.
Okay. Sarah?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. And Donna?
Well, I would be fine with that. My only question would be if the total project is $1,000 and they're asking us for 1,000.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't,
wondering
I'm
if that
confused
might
by
be,
that.
I think that's a typo.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
gonna cost them more than that to put that on,
Oh, yeah.
especially with Naomi Yamaguchi coming to play piano.
Oh,
Yeah. So, an interesting thing here. What about if we were to offer them $200? That would be in line with Sarah's commentary of a donation, and at the same time, the potential that we might have some people traveling the 18 miles north to Wenchenin.
well,
So-
now, is this even live? It doesn't sound like it's
Oh,
I think
live.
it's online.
oh, it's online again. Okay, cancel, postpone the 2020 digital series.
They had better luck with the digital series
Mhm.
through YouTube.
Ah, okay. All right. So then how, but they have one date there. They're saying throughout, didn't it say we will return to live programs once it is deemed safe? So doesn't that mean they're live, going live with us?
I don't know. Hard to get that from what is written. Collectively, the videos have garnered well over 10,000 views.
Mhm. We'll return with live programs once it's deemed
Mm.
named safe.
We hope to present 2020 artists in 20. Now they're hoping to be able to do it live, I guess. If you read
Yep,
that last
I
line.
do. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, other feedback?
I
Rob?
wonder if we reach out and find out exactly what they're going to do. I'm a
Yeah.
little confused as to what to expect for 2021. I mean, is it going to be a YouTube series? Is it going to, is that what we're looking at? Does anybody?
That's what it looks like.
I'm guessing he probably doesn't know, just like so much of the last year. Well, we'll see what happens in another month. But if he's booking musicians, he's got to know.
Yeah.
I
mhm.
mean, musicians of a certain level, I think they book out a really long time ahead.
Yeah, but he says that he's hoping to have these artists that he, from 2020. You know, so many shows have, you know, Tucson, which is a big gem and mineral that, you know, I would go to, is always in the end of January and into February. And there's people from all over the world that go there. They canceled. And they've now projected it and are signing people up and artists and people to go in April. Everybody's got to know, though, that April could also be canceled too. So, like Sarah was saying, everybody's in this predicament of trying to see. We don't. It's almost like you'd like to have a crystal ball and know what the future holds, but we don't. So, I like the idea of supporting him, even if he can't do anything with the $200.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
just so that he can keep going forward with his project. So that would be my take on it. I would want to follow Sarah's suggestion of a donation to his cause as opposed to programming. That's all.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think you know, people's time is valuable. I don't think we really need to reach out to him and see exactly what he's doing.
From the $200?
For $200. I mean, if we're giving him a lot more, yeah. But for $200, I think it says this has been a very difficult time and you're still trying to make this thing happen.
Okay. Sarah, what about you?
Yeah, I think we can, you know, do the donation, award the funding, and go from there.
And you'd say $200 is kind of in line with what you have in mind?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So I make a motion that we grant them $200 with the hopes that something might happen like outdoors and therefore it being a real live event And then I think that if it happens next year, if they apply, we would consider giving them more. We're not going to tell them that, but so I make a motion, we grant them $200. All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Okay, so the ayes have it. All right, so we have one specifically from page 1 that we tabled, and then we have, do you have a tally, Donna, on?
I have a total, if I got them all in there correctly, 3630
Okay,
is the running
Mhm.
total so far.
Okay.
But that includes the pastel workshop fully granted, and also the playful engineer guy, the Ruby Goldberg
yeah,
guy.
okay, all right.
That includes, full funding for them.
All right, so let's go back to the one we tabled. That was on page 1, Johnny Appleseed. And that was, they were asking for the $1,000. We said we were going to come back and visit that. That, once again, the idea that we could make a donation and that they would then, put us on the board, and we would get acknowledgement that we were supporting is a valid idea. Let's go back and visit with that again just for a minute, and then we can move on it. So additional input?
I
Not
think
all at once.
based on the funds that we have left, it maybe if we can take all the ones that we said we'd come back to and see what they asked for and how much we have left, maybe we can just get everybody at least something.
Something, okay.
Well, we've got a couple of $1,000 left,
Mhm.
right? A little more than a couple
The
thousand.
other thing that Sarah had brought up earlier was overfunding also, as
Oh,
a
right.
potential.
Yep.
If there are some things that we thought we wanted to do that too. So how many things did we say no or table to? Do we have an idea of that?
Okay, on page 1, please correct me if I didn't list these properly. We said no to the hip hop,
mhm.
and we tabled Johnny Appleseed, and we said no to the Fitchburg Art Museum.
No, we said
No.
yes to that.
Yes,
We
that's
said
exactly
yes.
right. Yeah, thank you. Okay, we said yes, and I concur. On page 2, we said no to the adult yoga and stress management. And we said no to the Blues Brothers Briefcase / Hofbrauhaus. On page 3, we tabled the chainsaw cheeseburger guy. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I said I would reach out to him. On page 4, we said no to duo pianist. We said no to John Pacino. And then on page 5, we said yes to the amount of $200 for the Wenchenin Music Festival. That seemed to be right?
And the All Things Irish, we gave whatever, 300.
Yep, we said yes to them. Yep, exactly.
Mhm.
So do we want to take the time now to go back and possibly overfund a few? Or why don't we start with the ones we tabled? And that would be the Johnny Appleseed. Do you want us to grant them $200 once again to get the exposure? They're in Phillipston. I mean, that's right down the road, and leave it at that. Or do we want to discuss that a little more?
I've been to Red Apple Farm many times, and they typically have a lot of arts and crafts type vendors at many of their big events. So it certainly wouldn't be outside our mission to fund them.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Laurie and Sarah?
I like what
I-
Sarah said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, particularly if they do on some type of programming or something, a program for the event, if the cultural council gets mentioned as sponsoring it, it could be a way to attract other people looking for grants next year
Yeah,
that we're not aware of in the area.
They have big crowds and it's all families with, with little kids mostly.
That's good. Okay. So we thought about the $200 figure. I'm going to make a motion that we allocate them $200 for their grant of, they're asking for 1,000. And all those in favor of doing that, say aye.
I
Any opposed? Okay, so $200.
Two.
Yep, okay. So that note, that goes from being tabled to being a yes, but at a lower amount. And then the other one that we had tabled was the chainsaw guy, but we agreed that we were looking for some succinct responses to some active questions. So I think we have to leave that alone for the time being. Anybody opposed to that until I reach out to them?
Nope, that's fine.
Okay. And so if we are now up to, is it now $3,830?
3830.
We have money to spend. And seeing as we're not going on vacations, we can't spend it that way. Do we want to now go back and consider over granting or increasing some of the ones that we cut in half? And that would include on page 1, I don't see any because we just took Johnny Appleseed and put him on the table.
But isn't the music is love on the first page?
Yeah,
Yep.
that would be if we're going to
Oh,
over
hi.
grant. So I thought we'd go back and look to see if
No,
there are
hey,
others that we want to increase the amount if we had cut them in half or we had offered them less. And then
oh,
we
okay,
can consider over.
okay.
So the next one on page 2. No,
Listening and wellness, do you want to give them a little more money?
well, that's not on page 2.
Oh, that's on
That's right.
page 3.
Okay.
Sorry.
So on page 3, the listening and wellness, we've given them the 500, but they asked for 1,000. What do you think? Do you want to increase that?
Yes,
I'd be in favor of it.
Okay. I'm hearing a yes from Donna, and I'm hearing a yes from the ladies.
Yes, as well.
Okay. So do you want to go with giving them the full 1,000? Yeah. How about we do it? We go to 700. All
yeah,
those,
I was thinking 700 or 750.
I got
Yeah, me
700.
too.
Who wants to give me 750? I got 700. Wants, yeah, no, that's the auction. So, all right, I'm going to make a motion that we grant the Listening Wellness Center $700 of the $1,000 that they're asking for. All those in favor?
I
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. On page 4, we have nothing that we cut down on, so we're all set there. And on page 5, we were in agreement that the $200 as a portion of the grant, we can't call it a donation, but as a portion of the grant was where we wanted to be. So now let's go back to page 1, and the music is love. And we agreed to the 300. I'd like input if you think we should offer them more. Remember, Dawn said her total project expenses were 350. And so do we want to increase that to 350 or do we want to go a little more than that?
Why would we go more than the 350?
I don't know. Only because we have the
We
money.
have it.
I
Okay,
would go to 400.
okay, 400.
That works. Yep, that'll do.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we increase the music is love to $400, which is in excess of what they asked for. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Can I just make one comment on the overage a little bit?
Yes, ma'am.
With the Hubbasten Historical Society, with one event that they had to do it differently than they had thought last year. So we granted them $350 maybe. And they put in their application for less, for $275 or something. And I tried to convince them that the Cultural Council, the Mass Cultural Council, wanted to be town, activities and whatever, but they did not want to take any kind of an overage. So I don't know if some people will have an issue with more than the amount that we are than more than of the amount than they asked for.
Maybe they thought that it was coming like from the Hubbasten money, and maybe they thought that they were literally taking money from people of Hubbasten. That maybe, but I would guess that none of these other organizations would have a problem taking.
Okay, just wanted to throw it out there that we had somebody who
It's
didn't want an
interesting.
overage.
Yeah.
But also they were a society within Hubbasten, like you said. So maybe they don't know what to do with excess dollars if they get them because they have a society budget, and therefore if they didn't have to pay it out, where do I put these excess dollars or something? So it could have been an accounting thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, let's move forward.
Yeah, and moving forward, I looked at the Florence. That would be page 2, halfway down, the Children's Parade. And she's saying that it costs her $700. And she's asking for 4. And so that might be a good place to put the other $300 to cover all of her expenses. And I'm looking for input from you.
Her political signs down.
I didn't see the sign, so I don't know what it said. Oh, God.
And this, I wonder at this point, with elections gone by.
If her signs are down.
Okay, I'll tell you what.
Some people do still have them up, I will say. I live in a neighborhood which, because I walk all the time now, so I've walked on every street in Pinecrest, and I've been surprised at how many of my neighbors have a differing political point of view than I do.
And the signs are still up?
Yes, some are still up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like they're Christmas lights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, speaking of Christmas lights, does Katie need any money for her light fight?
Well, that's gone by.
But
And
would she need money but she can't apply now, I guess.
no,
She's
but
a select person.
Because I mean that she really had great success with that, and I wonder if we should see, particularly with the lack of applications this year, and who knows what the rest of this year will come up with, but I wonder if in the future maybe we should reach out to Katie the same way that we did with Florence, and because I mean,
Green Girls, Green Sisters, or whatever.
Yeah, I did that. I reached out to the Green Sisters and got them to apply, and I will take that upon myself to mention that to Katie, that should she have any kind of an organized event which falls under the venue of the grants, that she should, I won't say take advantage, that's not the right word, but that she should think about putting in for a grant next year.
She's
I
got
mean-
she's got a tiny budget too. I mean,
yeah, and I mean, she does stuff. I mean, she got her stuff on the front page of the Globe this year. And I mean, the light fight thing, I don't know how many of you were downtown at like, or going through town at like 6 o'clock during the Christmas time, but I was parked there one night to take a picture of the bandstand for our page, and I couldn't believe how much traffic was driving through town. And it was clearly, you could see people in their car, like with their phones and stuff. They were clearly looking for houses.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow. So I think, just sorry to digress. I know it's getting late, but anyway, I think it would be good to reach out to Katie and tell her how to do this.
I think that's an excellent idea. I think that we'd all feel great about supporting more of her push to put Hubbasten on the map.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But now if she's a select person in town, is she able to apply for a grant? Wouldn't that be part of the conflict of interest kind of thing?
We can find out.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
politics aside,
Mm.
with Florence, do we want to increase her to the $700 that she spends on putting this event together?
Sure.
Okay, all right. All those in favor of increasing her grant to $700, say aye.
I
Any opposition? Okay, so she gets $700.
You think she applies to the library?
Okay, well, the library can use the money elsewhere.
Yeah, well, she did this on her own for many years,
she
from
did,
what I
yeah,
heard, so.
Yeah.
Out of her own
I
pocket.
was just pleased that she was able to fill out the form electronically on her own.
Yeah. Wow.
I didn't realize she did it all by herself this year, Lori.
Yeah, she didn't, yeah, she
Wow.
Wow.
must have.
Okay, and
Chapter
so,
44, 30 and counting.
okay. So on to page 3, looking over the applications. Are there any there? We've already increased Wellness Center to 700. And Henry Lappin, we've offered to pay his full amount. It appears that that would be his project expenses. Any input from the council regarding the grant applications on page 3? Okay, let's move on to page 4.
Actually, sorry.
Okay.
Is there any ability for either the juggler or Mr. Maychuk to add something on? Can Mr. Maychuk, like, can we use extra monies to purchase supplies that maybe people could take home with? Because you can't bring home the supplies you use there. You bring home your picture, but you can't bring home the supplies. Or with the juggler, if he had an extra $200, could he give kids something to practice juggling with or something? That type of thing.
I personally think that's brilliant.
And
Oh.
in that case, Sarah, what you went and participated, what would it be that you'd bring home? What are the things you might bring home?
Maybe like if you went to the pastel thing, he would have like 4 or 5 colors for you to take home. I understand that these are pretty expensive. Or maybe he gives
But he
you
may get
like-
them, he may be able to get them wholesale too.
Right, or he can, so you can go home and practice rather than just bringing your picture home, which I demonstrated to you folks a few years ago. That you could have the supplies to do it, or maybe particular with the Juggler, since it's really geared to children, are there supplies? Or actually the same with the machine guy that we like.
Yep.
You know, does he need money to get the supplies out to these kids, like ping pong balls and stuff like that? So I think particularly the ones that are geared to interaction, or the ones that are geared to children. If
I
there's
think
some,
that in-person events are going to be a lot easier to say that, to supply those things. I think the things that are virtual, it's going to be
Right.
difficult to have him ship stuff out to people. So
yeah, that's true. Or maybe they could pick things up at the library or something like that. But I just wonder if those participants or grantees have thought of doing something like that in the past.
I think it's a brave new world, and I think people are trying to figure out all kinds of new things. It would be, Bill, you weren't going to be contacting Gregory, right?
No, I didn't plan to. Actually, I did, because I put my note down there. A delivery method is what I said. Let me see what I had in mind.
Oh, was it going to be Zoom?
Yeah, let's see. No, in person. Or,
No, it says or Zoom.
So remote, in other words, how would, how people would have to get their own pastels, supplies in general. I'm surprised his wife doesn't have
an application.
an application in here, because she did last year. I thought she did this year too, but Lori, what happens to the money we don't grant?
I think we lose it.
We lose it.
We lose it.
And yet, on the other hand, we're conscientious and we want to allocate it in the best way possible. And being the fact that it is a very unusual year, and the fact that we have so many rollovers from last year that have the money, haven't done the event. And so that's the reason we didn't get as many applications. So frankly, if we don't use it all, we don't use it all.
I wonder how that would affect next year's, if at all.
I think that there may be other cases where there might be a situation similar to ours. And I don't believe it would have an adverse effect. I think, once again, it's doled out from a standpoint of population. And
Yes, I wonder if the Mass Cultural Council, when we fill it in and tell them, you know, what we've allocated, and they see we have money over, and they're like, but you had requests for more than that amount. Why did you not?
Yeah.
I could defend that. I could defend it by saying we had a discussion and we didn't feel it was germane to our demographics, and that we didn't think it was it met the obligation that we were looking for to provide cultural and educational and experiences for our population. I don't have a problem with that.
That's a great answer.
No, I don't have a problem.
Do we need to take a break and look at these again and figure out where we might want to spend more money? Like, just have a list of what we have, the grants we are approving and for how much, and we can see where we're short. Just something that just maybe not has the description anymore, but it has more of where we stand with each grant. My head's getting a little fuzzy trying to figure out where else to spend money.
Dearest
And I'm not sure that there isn't a place to do it, is the thing. So I wouldn't want to call tonight a final of anything, I guess.
Dearest Laurie, would you be prepared to put your talents to work when you're not fuzzy.
Sure, yes, I will definitely, I need to do that for myself
Thank you.
because I'm, I guess I got hit my saturation point a little bit
I
tonight.
think we all have. So
Um,
how about
So I
we,
need to regroup my head and
how about we
look
plan
at,
on another meeting using the same fashion where we do final votes on anything that's outstanding and we revisit the grantees again. I don't think we have to revisit ones we said no to, and that we can probably do something and get it done with the next meeting. I concur. And if that is plausible, let me put on the table that is a Thursday night at 7 o'clock. We're going to work for folks.
Yeah.
Okay.
yep,
Don and I are okay. Sarah with the H.
Meaning the 11th?
Yeah, let me look at 11th would
wait a
be.
minute,
Yeah, look at
wait a
your-
minute. Oh, no, it would be in the evening, right?
7 o'clock is, if that's a
Okay,
good.
yeah, yep. That's fine.
Yeah, I can do that as well.
Wonderful. I really appreciate your cooperation. So um, that being the case, we have one more item on the agenda, and that says old and new business. Can anybody bring to the table anything else we have to discuss at this point? Good.
Not really. There is one thing that there are several grants last year that, I just want to get this off my chest, I guess, that took place that I found interesting that I don't know that we really were aware they were taking place. Like the foraging one took place.
Oh, it did?
Yep. Yeah, I only found out because we got the request for payment.
Likewise, never knew it was going to happen. Mhm.
And that definitely sounded like, they even had to turn people away, it sounded like. They had more than enough. They had to limit the capacity due to COVID, but they were out in the woods foraging and,
How'd they even find out about it? Wow.
yeah, exactly. So, just as an aside, and then there might have been, we found out that something else took place, Sarah, and
The pastel workshop was done and gone.
Right.
I was
So
like,
maybe we can try to put an emphasis that we need to know when these things are taking place, that we want to have a person be able to attend or just be able to advertise it ourselves on our own page, our Facebook, something. So that one just really surprised me when we got, they were like, we held this event, it was very successful, and I was like, wow.
I didn't even know.
Very active in trying to attend as many as we can.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if I can put in the letter of approval that a concerted effort must be made to contact the council regarding the date of the event. And if any change in that takes place, especially in light of this year, the way it is, that we should be contacted. And I'll put my name on that to get the contact and then be sure that I let everybody know, because we're committed. I mean, we really do want to see how these things go and use it
But the
for.
only caveat to that is last year was freaking weird. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mhm.
so if maybe they were able to squeak it in somewhere. I'm not sure what happened, but
I think that's
you
what
can say
happened.
last year was
Freaking weird. Yeah, I think that's well put. Yeah. All right. So we will plan. I will obviously send out the notice with an agenda, and we'll plan for next Thursday, the 11th at 7 p.m. We'll try our best to consolidate our ideas. Laurie will provide us with another worksheet, which we will pay all of our attention to. And I will ask Laurie Reed from the town to help us again with setting up the meeting and in conjunction with the format that the town and the state is requiring. That sound fine?
That sounds good. One other thing, I'm going to complete the voting meeting worksheet on the, it needs to be filled in on the Mass Cultural Council site. And so I will be sending out the finalized version of that to you guys. We did approve it. So I feel comfortable completing that on, as part of the annual report. So I will be, the voting worksheet you'll be getting from me, a small summary of what we did tonight, just of a grant name, you know, it was accepted and how much they wanted and what we gave them or something like that. Some simple, so that we can see where we stand with dollars. Let's see. I guess that's about it.
Good.
From me.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice to see everybody.
Absolutely glad everybody is alive and everybody appears to be healthy. Let's keep it that way. All right. Good night,
Sounds
everybody.
good.
Good night, everyone.
You guys
Right.
have a good night. Thank you. Nice seeing
Meeting
you.
adjourned.
Yes.
Meeting's adjourned. Yeah.
Meeting's adjourned.